Most of us have a favorite game reviewer we look to when a new title drops. It used to be gaming magazines and big websites, but now it's usually a YouTuber or a blogger whose opinion we trust. Have you ever noticed, though, that after you hear their thoughts, you end up seeing the game exactly how they described it? Like maybe you started playing a new release and thought, well, it was pretty fun, but then you watch someone tear it to shreds for a bunch of reasons, and suddenly it's harder to enjoy. That's what I want to chat about today. The way reviews shape our opinions, sometimes without us even realizing it, and why it might be smart to limit how many of them we watch, at least until we formed our own feelings about the game. And yes, I admit I'm part of this problem as well, because I make reviews myself, but that's exactly why I think it's so important for us to talk about it. So, in this video I want to dig deeper into why reviews have such a strong influence on our perceptions. We'll look at how seeing a game through someone else's lens can change your expectations, your enjoyment, and even your overall opinion. Let me first start with a small story. Picture a quiet little elementary school in 60s. The kind of place where classrooms are lined with colorful alphabet posters and the smell of chalk dust hangs in the air. One day, at the beginning of the study year, a couple of researchers approached the teachers of the school with a very special test, developed to measure the talent of students and their chances at greatness. With the results of this test, teachers received a list of students that are intellectual bloomers, the best of the best, and hence the ones deserving the most attention. The teachers are thrilled, of course. They start giving extra attention to these so-called exceptional students, cheering them on with more enthusiasm and challenging them with harder tasks. When they fail, they encourage them, more than anyone else in the class. When they succeed, teachers are happy for their success. By the end of the year, children in this class are given another IQ test, now a standard one. And lo and behold, as expected, those talented children score more than others in their class. But you know what is the catch? The test at the start of the year was a dud, a thought-up thing that meant nothing. Those students were random, not special in the slightest. So what made them improve? It was expectation. Once the teacher believed these kids were destined for greatness, they created an environment where the greatness could become real. In other words, those students rose to meet the higher expectations placed on them. And this is the story of a real experiment conducted for something called Pygmalion Effect, which is in essence that others' beliefs and expectations make them act towards us in a way that we start to believe in certain things ourselves, which in turn makes us act a certain way. It creates a loop of positive or negative reinforcement, which is really hard to escape from. Now, I know what you want to ask. How does this relate to gaming reviews? Well, think of your favorite reviewer as the researcher in this scenario. When they say a game is downright amazing, you walk in expecting a masterpiece. You're more inclined to overlook minor issues, and you might even hype yourself up for every cool moment. It's almost like you're anticipating all the fun things they praised. On the flip side, if that same reviewer bashes a game, calling it a broken, boring mess, guess what happens? You boot it up already waiting for the flaws to appear. That awkward camera angle or minor glitch suddenly feels catastrophic. Every stumble becomes a glaring problem, and it confirms the negative impression you have expected to have. It's just like with those talented kids from the experiment. Your expectations can shape the reality you perceive. Now, it's not that any of the reviewers are doing something bad or on purpose. No, most of them are just giving you their honest opinion on a game. Well, unless they are paid to say something specific, but that's a story for another time. But what we often forget is that even if the reviewer had similar taste to us in the past, they're not us. They have their own biases and views that might be entirely different. Perhaps they played something in the past and it's the feeling of nostalgia speaking. I mean, after all, I am mentioning Skyrim in almost every video, and here I mentioned it in here as well now. Look, once you've taken that arrow to the knee, you basically spend your whole life telling that story.
I used to be an adventurer like you. Then I took an arrow in the knee.
And I mean, you surely notice how most of the discourse is happening about the games nowadays. The game gets announced, perhaps we also see a trailer, and this trailer might be entirely cinematic one, like a Witcher trailer for example. Nobody knows what the story is gonna be about, how the gameplay will feel, but here you already start having criticism coming from all the sides. That starts to shape how you will feel about the game moving forward. I mean, I get it, I have questions to some of this stuff as well, like how the hell Siri became a witch all of the sudden. But what really matters here is that the cycle of outrage, the burnout from gaming, it all can be attributed to this little dance we make, at least partly. Honestly, it's like the world's weirdest waltz. One step forward, two steps into a Twitter holy couch war. Of course, there is another side to this. It is impossible to play and make your own opinion on everything nowadays. The game market is so big and so saturated with everything that it's neat to have a singular number or percentage representing whether you should buy and sink hours into the game or not. But in the end, none of the reviewers, especially nowadays, is going to give you a good understanding whether this game is for you exactly. Because it would involve understanding what makes you specifically happy. Most of the reviews are just generalistic representation of author's opinion, distilled in a way to appeal to broader masses, which means that any review is highly demotivated to go against the consensus that is getting formed around the game. So, when you listen to someone reviewing a game, you are most probably listening to a person that is both influenced by his biases and by emotional charge going around the game itself. And to be honest, none of this is related to you. In the end, it also ends up shaping what you think and what you feel about this or that. So, what's the solution to this, my dear viewer? Well, the worst thing is that there is none. At least none that is a magical pill that would fix it. There is no instant cure-all for this, but here is the few parting thoughts. If you're confident you'll grab a certain game anyway, try it before you start watching or reading reviews. I don't mean that you should play it for 20 hours, but at least play it for one and see if you like the very basics of it. If you like the atmosphere and how it looks and how it feels. Jump in without preconceived notions so you can decide for yourself. Then, if you're curious, go back and see what others said. You might find that you agree, or you might discover your experience was completely different, and that's totally fine. And if by the end of it you find that you would rather not play it, the best thing about Steam is that you can refund the game within 2 hours. So you lose nothing, really. And if you did like some of the things and don't agree with the reviewer, then why not try it for yourself and see if perhaps your opinion on it will be different. Better yet, it seems that the thing about releasing demos of the games became more popular. So if you have a chance, use it. Try the demo, see if you like that. Another thing is that instead of listening to someone's review on a game, you can also watch some silent let's plays of it. It would allow to avoid all the hassle with refunds and such, but also nobody really will be feeding their opinions to you, so you can analyze the thing yourself. Ultimately, the key is to balance the convenience of reviews with your own natural curiosity. Sometimes going in blind can feel like a thrilling adventure. Other times it might cost you a precious time or money. But if you find yourself always relying on someone else's word, you might be selling your own opinion short. It's your experience after all. Give yourself the chance to shape it. And I don't mean any of it as invitation to buy everything or play sloppy games. You probably know yourself which games you would enjoy and which will be meh, so you might as well avoid what you wouldn't enjoy. It's not just about whether gaming reviews are bad or good, it's about training yourself to form your own views and your own opinions on the world, to decide things for yourself. Because you, my dear viewer, matter. And I, personally, would love to know what you think about what is happening in gaming. Thank you for sticking around, I hope you liked this little rant, and if there is anything I would like you to take from this video, if nothing else, is this. Whether you watch that review or skip it, just remember, the judge for what is best for you should be you. See ya later.